What is going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. This is the Lead Poison live stream. I know that I typically do this every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, but today I wanted to give you guys part two of The Witcher, right? Now, because I typically don't do this, I don't break up the art in several parts, right? Um, I wanted to follow this up with a part two so that you guys see the full process, right? Now, last night I had to give it a pause after laying in most of the pencils here, just so that I can get the approval from the client. Now, anyone who's worked with me in the past knows that I keep the client in the loop of communications, right? I like to get their feedback if they want me to make edits, because at the end of the day, you're paying me for a job, So after I got the client approval, or rather the client approval, I should say, right, I was able to set up today's stream. So today we're gonna knock this out of the park, right? Very happy with the pencils. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to lightly pull out some of the graphite so I can get this ready for the ink wash and the paint. So just bear with me as I set up my vibes real quick. Set up the vibes. All right. Now let's see. Get my water. Got my ink water going. Let me open up my Twitch chat. So I can see. Again, I want to extend a welcome to everybody that's joining in from Twitch, from YouTube, from Facebook. Anyone who will be watching this after the live broadcast, I appreciate you. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Right, it helps me in the algorithms, as it were. So let's hit this with pull the graphite, get water for my gray wash. Now, the approach that I'm going to be having with this is one of very muted tones. It's not a bird; it's the leshen, the forest spirit that kind of has like that the skull of an elk, but it's like the body of a tree. It's weird. Like if you look at top, you can see the antlers, and then it has like this weird like shroud or drape, like connecting the neck to the body, and then the rest of it is like this tree. Yeah, a lot of the creatures in The Witcher are interesting to say the least, right? But that I think that's Welsh, like Welsh folklore. Prep this just a little bit before I start adding the gray wash. And like I mentioned before, the approach that I'm going for on this piece is to like sort of like mirror the Henry Cavill show on Netflix. Right, so it's going to be very muted, lots of high contrasting blacks and shadows, sort of in the vein of like Mike Mignola in his run on Hellboy. Right, 'cause I want it to feel eerie with a grim kind of mood. Appreciate that. Welch's. Welsh. Welsh. Yes. Appreciate that. Yes, I actually just saw that this morning. I think with Fantastic Four, Marvel is back. Like so long as they don't get into that foolishness with that whole like multiverse like storytelling, like that's getting old, B. Like I think that's where they started to like drop off. You know what I mean? That the like it's kind of like exhausting now because it's like everybody's doing it. You know, you know what I mean? Like I feel as though they may touch on it, considering that at the end of the day, it's Reed Richards, right? And that's one of the things that like Reed is like known for, going interdimensional and finding pocket dimensions and all this fun stuff. But you know, I feel as though if they lean too heavily into it, you know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna lose me. They're gonna lose me. They're gonna lose a lot of people that like are hoping, for Marvel to kind of like bounce back. Oh, have they? I support this. I support it because high key, why would they demonize, what I'm saying, Jonathan Majors, especially after being cleared on all accounts and whatnot, you know what I'm saying, with the kind of past that RDJ has. You feel me? Like bring him back. You know what I mean? Kang the Conqueror was a FF enemy. You know what I'm saying? Like if, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he had his debut in Fantastic Four. You know what I'm saying? It's only right they bring Homie back because or at the very least, close out his story arc, right, and introduce Doom, right, so we can get Secret Wars. If they're smart about it, right? Let me get some scrap. If they're smart about it, that's what I think they should do. Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's reported, right? You know what I'm saying? We don't know what he was up to behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Like that's that's what we know. That is what we know. You think so? I kind of like this build because he's not supposed to be like, what I'm saying, like Hulk. You know what I'm saying? Like I think even in the books, like Hulk is like obviously bigger, notably bigger. Pause. But I did like his design though. You know what I'm saying? The design looked dope. So I feel like the whole retro vibe that they're going for is is high key on point. You know what I mean? I think like the casting so far, like I'm on board with. Like I haven't seen nothing crazy with regards to the casting. The only one I was really on the fence with was Pedro Pascal, but he's kind of growing on me. Yeah, yeah. Like you could tell that like on this run, whoever did like all the designs and whoever made the decisions on the designs and the casting and everything, you know what I mean? Like they actually cared about the IP. It wasn't just kind of phoning things in or moving too far away from the traditional looking stuff. Because boy, at this point they need a dub. I've been hearing through the grapevine that they've like actually canceled a bunch of shows that they were going to be doing in this next shows and movies that they were going to be doing in this next phase. I saw that they had shut down Armor Wars because Secret Invasion didn't do well, and because of the Marvels doing so bad, like they shut man they've been axing a bunch of stuff, and that's what they get for just being, in my opinion, kind of lazy with the writing. Because I had this discussion with another one of my boys the other day, right? Secret Invasion, had they executed that differently, by different I mean like gone with a more like horror aesthetic, like a horror vibe, like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of vibe, I think Secret Invasion would have been like much much better. Because what I'm saying, like I don't know if you read Secret Invasion, you probably have. Secret Invasion, like was high key kind of tense and scary. You know what I'm saying? That like even with the way they build it, it's like who can you trust? And they had like all the headshots of the different Avengers, but then like some of them were like morphing into Skrull. You know what I'm saying? Like if they would have played that angle of Secret Invasion, I think it would have hit. But what do I know? What do I know? Once again, I want to thank everybody for popping in on the live. My my Twitch audience, YouTube, Facebook, just laying in some some gray values here. Right, and going to be prepping this for some color, some ink. Right, I want to get that nice sort of like eerie mood. We're dropping in a lot of grays and some high contrasting blacks. A lot of this isn't going to make sense right away, but just kind of pulling out some of the textures and the moss. Get some shadows in there and skull. Push some more shadows in here. Boom. All right. Feels pretty good so far. Get in here. I'm kind of bouncing around the whole piece. Just to get some nice fills in and kind of give myself a roadmap as to where my light source is going to be and how I'm going to communicate those heavier shadows. So now, rinse that off. The palette that I'm going for is one that's going to be very, very muted because I want the blacks to be the heaviest element in the piece. I want that to be the heaviest element in the piece. So let me pull up my reference of Gerald. Okay. All right, it's pretty straightforward. So now let's grab brown brush. Looks like I'm going to start with a bit of the forest blue. Skin is a little pinkish. So let's start here. Get that skin tone going. Warm it up a little bit with a little red. Yeah, I should do it. very, very muted. But for the most part, I will be warming up some areas of the skin, but that'll be just for the sake of like having a bit of shape value to it, some shadow. Let's make that a little warmer. That feels too pale. All right, get it in here. There we go. That's going to be our base right there. We'll wait for that to set, and I'll build on top of that. Now, I'm going to make Geralt's eyes dark, like he's had a sip of the potion that gives him the monster eyes. Now let's build up the layers for the outfit. It's primarily very cool browns and forest green. So let's wake up that green. All right, that feels good. So let's start dropping that in. Hoping that everybody's got a good start to their work week. Let's see. Is this too dark? No, that's good. That's good. All right, so I'm going to drop this in. Now, these are just going to be some base layers, just so that I have a bit of foundation for the next couple layers to build from. It kind of gives the artwork a bit of bite. Color in. Boom. Have a bit of shadow here. It's going to be part of the top coat. All right. Now let's drop in the browns. Let's wake up that brown a little bit and drop a bit of blue in it to kind of cool it. Add a little bit more brown. It came out a little too cold. I'll warm it up a little. Get a little more brown in there. Nice fill. A nice fill in the wash. I got all of the blocks in so that from there I can move into dropping in the detailed work, pulling out some of the shapes that he's got in his outfit. Get these straps going. Some of these shaping here for the belt. It's gonna have a little buckle to it. And then get the gloves. Put a little more water on the brush. Brown. Brown in there for the pants. Put a piece of the shoulder there. Just get a bit more of the green to fill out this part of the chest. Now zoom in a little bit and get the medallion in. It's a small detail, but I don't want that getting lost in the sauce. It's got kind of a brassy type of color. Let's get. Almost missed that undershirt that he wears. Add a bit of green to it. Let's see. It's a little too green. That's it. Now we'll drop in the color for the lesson. Well, no. Before we move on to that, should pop in the colors for Geralt's hair. I don't want it to remain straight white like that. It's almost like a weird beige. Make up a lot of white. That'll work. There we go. That should do it. Just to hold us down a little bit. Now for the blushing, we're gonna go brown. Start with the larger areas of the lesson first. Make some nice base color. Just wake up some of this purple. Drop a bit of blue in there. Get a little more brown in the mixture. A bit more purple. And some of this yellow ochre. Let's warm it up a little bit. And that's going to be wood. And get the roots in. Let's get a little more of that mixture going. There you go. Feels a little too green. Let's get a little more brown in there. Just very quickly drop in the color blocking for the roots. Let's see, we got one here. One back there. Another one here. Let's get that root in the foreground. All right, looks like about it. Just give it a once over, making sure we're not missing any important elements. I did miss a spot here. There we go. Get a little darker in there as we get to the base of the root. That should do it. Pull this back a little bit so you guys can see the whole thing. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the shroud that the lesson wears. A bit of brown, a bit of purple, a little bit of blue to sort of mute it out. That's going to be right in here. Now, I know it doesn't look like much right now, but if you're new to my streams, you know that, or rather, if you're not new to my streams, you already know that I like to do a simple wash in the very beginning, lay down a local color that I can build from, right? So in these early stages, it's not supposed to look pretty, but it does lay down some groundwork for how I'm going to build my layers. Let's see, am I missing anything? Ah, the moth. Let's put the moss in there. Get a bit of green moss. A bit of white. Kind of mute the moss out. Let's move into the skull. Start with a lot of white. Mix in a little bit of yellow ochre, so I can get that sort of like off-white bone color. Let's drop in the antlers. The antlers are going to be a bit darker. I'm going to mix a bit of brown, blue. All right. Almost time. I'm going to be ready to drop in the inks in just a bit. All right. I think that'll do it. I think we're ready. So today for this ink work, I'm going to be using 2 nibs. I'm going to use my normal nib, which is a G nib, and one that's a bit finer. Both of them are Tachikawa. For those of you that know about dip pens, you already know the vibes. I'm going to go straight in with my G. For a lot of my general line work. Going to be a lot of shadow being pushed into these tree roots, right? So it'll help focus the eye on Gerald. Right, so the lesson and the roots are tools that I'm going to be using to frame Gerald in the shot. That is it. A lot of these little details are just for me, right? I like to convey a lot of energy in the imagery that I draw, regardless of whatever it is. So I want to have a bit of like gravel kind of uh, to show the root sort of like sprouting out from the ground to attack Gerald. Put some gravel bits in the foreground there. Yeah, a little bit of that ink blot right there, but that's fine. We can work with that. We can work with that. A little bit. Once again, I want to say thank you and shout you guys out for hanging out with me today. Everybody that's tuning in to the Lead Poison live stream. I typically stream every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, but in this very special case, I had to turn this piece into a two-parter, as I typically render my composition beforehand before every stream. I didn't do so with this one. So if you guys go back and watch part one, I kind of like made some changes to like the rough composition that I had originally done. And I wanted to get, the approval from the client, as this is a commission work. Right? And anyone who's worked with me knows that I keep all of my clientele in the loop of the process. Right? Very, very common practice of mine. So after getting the green light from the client, I went ahead and I set up today's stream. Because next Monday, I will have a different subject for lead poison. And I didn't want to wait too long to give you guys a conclusion on how this image turned out. So here we are. Tuesday, part 2 of The Witcher. I will say this is a pretty fun piece. I do enjoy pieces that challenge me. So for those of you considering commissioning me, don't be skittish or afraid to throw whatever you have in mind at me. Odds are it's nowhere near the strangest commission requests I've ever gotten, nor will it be anything that I'll like shy away from unless it's something that's like offensive or like political. That's where I'll go, hard no. So it's not anything political or offensive to any demographics. We're good. Everything is fair game. All right, I think we got all the roots. We'll wait for that little blunt. As a matter of fact, let me dab that little blunt. This is how you know we're doing things live here, right? Nothing is prefabricated. Mistakes will happen live. Get in here and finish off this root. I'll work with the blob here to communicate my textures on this root. Now I'm going to sort of make it look like the roots are kind of twisting out of the ground like drills, right? Want to give the image of that sense of energy, like the roots kind of busting out of the ground. Reset my nib here real quick. We'll jump back in. There we go. And when I get to the finer details, that's going to be on Gerald himself. But these big, bold deets can end up on these tree roots. I'm going to sort of like work my way up to Gerald. All right. This one is not totally in the background, so we can drop some details on that one. All right. Just give me a second here. I think I got some ink on my finger. All right, that should do it. It was messing with me having that like wet spot on my finger. Pause. All right, so far we're in good shape. Now I'm gonna move upward into dropping the details on Garrow himself. We're gonna switch nibs. Phil, what's up, Phil? Thank you, sir. Thank you. There might be too much ink on the nib. Geralt's got a little mini belt on the wrist of his glove. I know you guys can't see that too well, but I left enough of my pencils in there to where I can kind of detail it, pull it out. Let's keep working our way up the arm. Just kind of drop in some subtle shape language in the arm here for some muscle tone. Let's get the wrinkles around the sleeve. Tighten the sleeve a little bit. Drop, moving into some of that armor, that light armor that he's got on his upper arm here. A little bit of a lip. And then it breaks them into segments. Get the lip going around the edge of the shoulder pad there. Although Gerald's armor is pretty simple for the most part. Right, it's got a lot of little segments. Let's re-dip. Once again, I appreciate you guys popping in and hanging out with me for a little bit on the Lead Poison live stream. It is part 2. I typically do this on Mondays, but needed to get approval of what I did pencil wise for this commission piece. You know, with respect to the client, you know, I gotta make sure the client is happy with what I've come up with, right? And anyone who's worked with me knows that, you know, I like to keep my clients, all of my clients, in the loop of the production. All right, so I didn't want to jump ahead without getting the green light from the client. So after getting the green light from the client, you know, we were good to go. But I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to wait another week to finish this off. You know, I got other stuff I'm going to be doing next week for Lead Poison, and in preparation for my appearance at Beyond Comic Con in North Miami Beach. So if you guys are in the Miami area on the 15th of February, pull up on your boy. Deets my Instagram. Follow Wildings Ken, as you see it on your screen there. That is my Instagram handle. I'll be posting about that heavily over the course of the next couple weeks. That and any other show I'll be making an appearance at. I'm only going to be doing a handful of shows this year. It's down. All right, we're in good shape. Let me go back to my reference really quick. It looks like Gerald has segmented areas on his coat here. I'm going to drop that in too. Bam. Perfect. I'm going to give him a little stitched edge right here on the coat. And then continue the pattern. I'm going to get a little bit of a fold here after this belt. Get a little bit of that rib there. Boom. There we go. Now, top of the piece is already dry. So, I'm going to drop in some of these smaller, finer details on Geralt. Like his hair. And some of these hair strands dropped in. Bear with me on the silence, ladies and gentlemen. These little areas right here tend to be very delicate, so, I got to focus a little bit. There we go. A little scowl on there. And then you get some of the jawline. Chin. There we go. So now I'm going to drop a little bit of shadow underneath the nose. Separate the grit in the teeth. And get drop a couple shadows in there underneath the jawline. Drop a little more ink in the nib. And then we'll drop the pendant in there, the Witcher pendant. Right. That a really cool wolf pendant. Right. And we'll do top edge of the shoulder pad. Turn it around. And swing this up. Bam. So on the edge of the outside here, we're gonna put in the other glove. Now, because that's gonna be in our background, that's gonna be kind of murky. So we're just gonna like do some loose lines, right? Implying the glove, holding the sword, and then get the blade in there. So I'm gonna darken in girl's eyes. So that we get that cool effect that he's been buffed. So now that we got most of the upper body in, we're going to jump right back down to the leg, get the rest of the leg in there. These small little details in the hair. All right, so do that. Like I mentioned, most of this is going to be dropped into shadow anyway, so I'm not going to be super detailed when it comes to it. Girl will be leaning into his attack on the lesson. The outer detail here of the boot, the outline rather. His knee, top of the thigh. Now, I think we can drop in the sword too. Sword hilt. It doesn't look to be dry yet. All right. I'm going to drop this sword in perspective. So it's going to be forced back thinner and thinner as it gets closer to the hilt. Boom. Now a piece of the hilt will be behind that root. All right, so now a lot of that is going to be pushed into black. That's going to be mostly silhouette. So we'll just drop in the line art for the lesson itself and then move into the brushed black. Let's start off with this gnarly looking claw he's got. And kind of mossy there around the wrist. These outlines with a nib are fun, I have to say. little quick renders of textures. Feel really good. That in the very beginning, when a nib, it was a bit of a higher learning curve for me. You know, coming from using microns you know, most of my in most of my experience, right? You know, but after doing a few art pieces, not really art pieces, but just like fun little sketches in my sketchbook that were just straight ink. I began to really understand, you know, how to use a nib like really, really well. And I'm not, and admittedly, I'm not the best, right? But I can hold my own. And pull out some of these leafier moss textures. Once again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to part 2 of the Witcher live stream here, Witcher versus Alessian. You know, this is I guess you could say it's like a special presentation, I guess, right? Because I typically do lead poison in one go on Monday nights, but since we needed to wait for client approval on this piece, you know, we wanted to give this piece a bit of a conclusion with a part 2. I didn't want to wait a week, so you know, here it is on a Tuesday afternoon, right? Because you know, I'm one of those artists that I like to keep my clients informed and involved on every part of the process, right? Now let's redip the nib. And, let's see. Get up here. So this part of the lesson is supposed to be like a shroud that's like tattered. So the edges of it are going to be kind of pointy and worn a bit. And get this edge of the skull in there. And on the base down here, there's like teeth. It's weird, the anatomy to this thing, but very, very interesting to draw. So moving upward, I'm gonna position the camera a bit higher so you guys can see that a little better. And then get in here. And then get hard black in there. Pull out some of the shape language in the skull here. A little bit of wear. A little bit of shape. Some of the hatching here, that's going to be in black. Let's redip a little bit. Finish off the shroud. Edge of the shroud is going to be angled, right, to show that tattered effect. I'm going to do the same thing up here. Right. Now, what I'm doing now is simply blocking out the areas that are going to be in black. That's going to be applied by brush. To get the desired effect we're looking for. All right. I'm going to finish off these smaller shadows down here before finishing off the antlers of the Leshen. Now on the torso of the Leshen, he's got like fungi, like mushroom caps, kind of growing. So that's what those are right there. All right, we're in good shape now. So now we're gonna do the antlers. Now the antlers themselves are also going to be textured a little bit, not unlike what I did for the roots kind of coming out of the ground. around with a little bit of the line weight here. Something a bit more bold. Pull this other antler a little bit. All right. We're coming up on the almost the 2 hour mark. So I think we're moving at a pretty good pace. All right. And drop in a little bit of hatching. That is all right. Well, that's going to be in black. That's going to be in black. Just get some of the grass kind of outlined here a little bit. I mean, it's for the most part going to be in silhouette anyway. It's just so that I can kind of map myself out. All right, that's going to be in all black. Perfect. Go back a little bit so you can see the whole thing there. Now this is an 11x17 comic board, so it's relatively big. Almost forgot. Sorry, right here. One. All right. Now we're going to switch over to the brush and get a lot of the coverage in. We'll start from down here. Now all of this is going to be in silhouette. I'll block in some of my shadows on the tree root as I go. Give the root a bit of a terminal line. So we get that flow of energy in the line of action. So sprouting out from the ground. All right, I'm going to do the same thing here for this bigger root. Get some nice, bold blacks in there. And as I apply the ink, I'm going to sort of like follow the twisting pattern heading upward. Right now, Geralt's boot is going to be in black. Get that right there up on the edge. I'm gonna drop this front part of the leg into shadow. Now, once all of my blacks are blocked in, I'm going to most likely hit it with a little more line work. Just so we can get some nice, like, mid-grade values on Geralt's leg here. And we'll do the same thing back under here. I'm going to highlight the root. I'm going to jump around a little bit here just so that we can ground the piece as quickly as possible. And get some of that energy flowing in the silhouettes here. Some of that gravel being kicked up. Some of the feathering from the grass. Some nice deep silhouettes here. Gary, how's it going, buddy? Yes, toss a coin indeed. There we go. So now we got a nice flow of energy with the roots kind of popping out of the ground. Some of that loose kind of gravel falling off of the roots as it attacks Geralt. And all of those little details make a difference, right? They basically, give us context to what's going on in the scene, in the shot. So it's all a part of that visual storytelling aspect. Block in some heavier shadows in this root. Kind of emphasize a lot of the folds in that tree root there. A lot of the texture. So now we got Geralt's other leg here. Just drop that in there. This leg, for the most part, is going to be in shadow. So we can pull that root from the lesson forward. Bear with me as I go through these tighter inking spots. It does require a bit of focus. Oh, for me anyway. Really easy to screw this up. There we go. And we can get in here and drop some of these on the arm shadow values. Once again, I want to thank everybody that's tuning into the Lead Poison live stream. This is part 2 of The Witcher. This is rather a commission piece that I started last night. Admittedly, I didn't predetermine what my composition was going to be, so I kind of did that on stream last night. But as is a common practice with everyone I work with and all my clients, once I locked in what my composition was going to be, before I move forward, I like to send it to the client to make sure that they're all good with it. And yeah, I did that, and I wanted to get his green light before moving on to the next few phases. So after getting the green light, I didn't want to wait until next week, for the next episode of Lead Poison. So I figured, what the heck? Let's turn it into a two-parter and do episode 2 the very next day. So this isn't my typical way of inking. I mean, those of you that have been following my work, you guys know, like, I don't typically go this dark or this like high contrast with big blocks of black. I thought that it would be fitting for this piece in particular, right? To kind of support the horror aesthetic. And so far I'm very pleased with it. So far, very, very pleased with it. Now, like I mentioned, once all of these blocks are in, I may give it a once over with some hatching. And then this one is donezo. We're gonna put this one in the books. All right, look, Gerald, give it a once over real quick before we move on to the lesson. Actually, we can push this one into shadow 2. Now, I've gotten the question of, if you're going to cover it in black, why even color that section? Or fill it in black, why even color that section? Well, to answer that, it's because I don't know if I am going to color it or fill it in black. So I like to keep I like to keep everything colored just in case, right? Simply because the black, if I break it up, will create negative space in that local block, right? So by keeping that area colored, it sort of like pulls that shape out of the shadow. You know what I mean? So like what I did here, right? And I close it off, it kind of creates a ridge there in the branch. It's all about the optical illusion, if you will. Right? If you give the the eyes enough information, they tend to fill in the blanks. So you don't have to really go into too much with regards to details, right? Just want to give the eyes just enough to where they understand the messages you're trying to communicate. Got a little bit of the debris. Coming off there. Let's see. We can shadow this in. We're in the home stretch, ladies and gentlemen. This bad boy isn't going to take much longer at all. Just covering all my bases here. As always, if for whatever reason you can't stick around for the full drawing, I totally understand. You can always check out the finished piece on my Instagram. The Instagram handle is, as you see it on the base of the screen there, Wild Inks, all separated by underscores. Or you can go to my other page, Wild Ink Studios, also separated by underscore, but Studios is spelled with a Z. All right, and if you are interested in commissioning me and wouldn't mind having the commission done live on an episode of Lead Poison, in the description, you'll find my email as well as my Instagram handles. Shoot me an email or a DM, and we'll get you set up. That anything that's done on Lead Poison usually ships the very next day. So if I decide to, and if I decide and you agree, rather, to have the artwork done on Lead Poison, you can almost guarantee that as soon as I'm done with it, I'm gonna pack it that same day and drop it off to be shipped the following morning. All right, let's drop a little bit of shadow under here. Let's get some blocks under this little root. And so I think we can start pushing some shadows into the lesson itself. Once again, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on part 2 of The Witcher on this episode of Lead Poison. Happy Tuesday to everybody on the check-in. I appreciate you guys hanging out. And And shout out to everybody who's gonna watch this later. Right? I understand that some of you guys are at work. So yeah, if you're checking this out later, like much later after the broadcast, I hope you had a great day at work or school. We are in the home stretch, ladies and gentlemen. Go. Now let's get in the hard blocks in here. It's up a little bit so you guys can see how that's turning out. So far, so good. Some borderline jumping off in here. Little folds. Some smoother blends there along the edges. It's my little secret weapon. I use a blending, an old blending makeup brush to soften some of the ink. Get a nice little soft lens effect. wherever needed. All right, let's put the hard black in there. All right. I think after the antlers, we're done. Put some of these areas in black. All right, that might do it. So, messed up the ground a little bit. Let's switch to a thinner nib. Well, with some of these just finer hatching lines. It's going to give me some of those like grayer values that I like without going too heavy into black or a really thick line weight. There we go. All right. Some loose little textures in key areas. Maybe a light little root texture back here. Let's see. Let's give Gerald a 5 o'clock shadow. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that'll do it. I think that will do it. Now all that remains is the small rivets in his armor. Small rivets in his armor, and to drop the glowing eye, right? Which won't be a tremendous task. Okay, do that. Right, he's got some on the shoulders. And a bit on his belt. Just a few hatching lines to get a line of action. This coat there. All right. I think that does it. Now let's cap it off with bam. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That is Geralt versus Aleshin. All right. Probably going to touch up a couple areas here, but I don't have to do that on stream. Follow my Instagram, Wildings Ken, in order to see, a very clear, high-res image of the finished product. And make sure that you tune in every Monday, Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. for the next episode of the Lead Poison live stream. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. And I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Have a great one.